Hello everyone, it's Jennifer and thank you for joining me today. I made this bracelet last week using some of the beads from the Treasure Edition Best Bead Box from Potomac Beads for the month of June, the Nature Lover. And what I want to do is I want to make a matching necklace and pair of earrings to go with this gorgeous little bracelet. If you want to see how I made this bracelet, I'll put a link in the description below. So I have already a pair of earrings ready to go. I'm adding some of my bead caps and a couple of little small crystal rondelles. We'll do those next because I have the components that we're going to be using for the necklace. I have some of these gorgeous Czech leaves. So I'm using these here. This is a Czech leaf strand, and I use some in the bracelet. I'm using some here, and I still have so many left over. So I have another idea to use for those. We're also going to be using the labradorite pebble beads. I think I might end up with one left over. So I'm gonna try and keep out that long one so that if I need to use it for a pendant. We're going to be using some of the these little 2mm crystal AB rounds. We're also going to be using some of the copper nugget beads. We had a pack of 20. I used some in the bracelet, and we're going to use some in this project as well. And also going to be using some of the Czech faceted rounds. These are 8mm. I love them. They are so pretty. And again, I have enough to make more. So in my last video, I said that I still had some beading cord left over from the beading cord that we got in one of our best bead boxes for, I think it was either January or February. And the little container, they come like this. I end up using them to store projects or store scraps or whatever. And so that's why that's not out. But I still have a good like 2 feet left over. So we're gonna go ahead and use some now. From my stash, I'm gonna use some of those same bead caps that I used in the bracelet. I have a couple of 2x2 crimp tubes. I have a couple of wire guardians, because we are going to, well, hopefully, let me see if the wire guardian goes through here. It should. Let's see. I should have already done this, right? Yep, it goes through there. So we're going to be connecting that directly onto the chain, no jump rings. And then I do have a couple of real thick 18mm jump rings to attach to the same toggle clasp that I used in the bracelet. I'm going to try and go with a similar pattern with the sections of 3s. I want to try and do that. The reason why I did the section of 3s for this was because the beads that I wanted to use and the quantity, it just worked out really well to have it in 3s. So now I'm looking, I don't think I have any more of those little spacer beads. So we're going to use some of these instead. So it's not going to be exact. But the first thing I want to use is I want to use one of these little tiny beads because this is what's going to go up against the 2x2 crimp tube. Okay, so then what I want to do is, let's start off with these guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one of my bead caps. Again, this bead cap is from my stash, but all of the beads came from the Best Bead Box. And the Best Bead Box is a monthly subscription, and it is $39.99 a month if you're going to be renewing monthly. You can also renew, I believe, quarterly, and also too you can renew annually. So as you add more months to your subscription, your level, the price per month per se, but overall goes down. Just going to continue. I'm using these little beads in between the leaf beads. So this is what we look like so far. Okay, so we have the little tiny 2mm, and then we have a bead cap. We have our 3 8mm rounds. We have a bead cap. Then we have the little tiny. We have the Czech. We have that little tiny, the Czech leaf, and then go on so on. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to bring in these guys. And so how I want to bring them in is I think I want to do one of these. I tried to guess on my calculating on how many of these I was going to need. So I might have to pull more. Might have to pull more from the bag. We shall see. So also too with this Best Bead Box is they also have a kit edition. I haven't seen the kit edition. I think it'd be kind of cool to see the kit edition, but I haven't seen the kit edition. So what I've done is I also have put a link to their YouTube channel in the description below, and I'm gonna check it out. I know I said I was going to last month, but I haven't yet. I got caught up in what they were doing with this Best Bead Box, and when I was looking for the kit edition, I ended up getting a little sidetracked on looking at what they were doing with this kit. All right, or with this box. Okay, so the kit edition though comes with 2 to 3 premium kits that are not available on their website. Also too, as a subscriber and you can subscribe to both, they also have 5 golden tickets that they randomly add into the boxes of the treasure edition, as well as another 5 for the kit edition. So if you are a subscriber to both, guess what? You've just now increased your chances of winning the golden ticket. Now, what is the golden ticket? The golden ticket, if you are the one with the golden ticket, then you get some special goodies from Potomac Beads. And I will tell you, I've been working with Potomac Beads now since January. What an incredible, amazing experience. And I just love the quality of these bead boxes that I've been getting. So this is the 6th one I've gotten. I have tons of leftovers, and I have made tons of projects. So I'm so excited that this month, even though we're approaching the end of June, this month I plan on just grabbing everything, putting it all together. It's probably going to take me a week to organize, and just putting projects together using bits and pieces from each of the boxes. And the reason why I want to do that is just to show how you can build your stash, and just a great way to have maybe a stash buster moment where you're just taking all of your leftovers and making some incredible pieces. Because I will tell you, all of the beads are just such high quality. I really love how they curate these boxes. So I also, in the description, have been continuously adding, so that as I'm doing unboxings, I am adding those unboxings to all of my videos so that you have a quick and easy way to see all of the past boxes. All right, so let's go ahead and add some more here. I guess I am kind of doing a pattern. I didn't think I was going to do a pattern like this, but this is what happens when I'm talking as I'm going along. All right, so we are continuing, and I know you're just watching me string, and it's so boring, but I have to tell you about Potomac Beads and what you get with your subscription. Also too, here we go. Also too, you have access to some of the products early. So like an early bird access to products on their website. So Potomac Beads is not just a subscription. Potomac Beads, they have an incredible website with stringing cord. I mean, they have everything. If you've not seen their website, please use the link in my description and go check it out. Okay, so I did have a little bit of extra there. I did cut up some chain, and because when I when I put out all the beads, I had an idea of how long it was going to be. It's probably going to be a little bit too long than what I want, because I want it to sit kind of like right at the beginning of my chest plate. So it might be a little long, and I can make adjustments later, but I was just kind of eyeballing it. All right, so now I have my cord. So what I want to do is I am going to thread on my 2x2 crimp tube. Okay, I am going to add to the one side of my wire guardian. Then I'm going to go ahead and pass that through, back through the other side of the wire guardian. So there's two little tubes, and then your wire sits inside this little canal. And you want to make sure your wire is sitting in there when you go and do your crimping. So, but before we do any crimping, we want to go ahead and add our chain. Now, why would you want to attach it directly to the chain? Well, for me, because then that's just a jump ring that I don't have to use. And also too, it will just keep the design, for me, it just keeps the design clean, and I don't have to worry about a jump ring opening up on me. All right, so here we go. Here, those are crossing. So let's see, now they're not crossing. All right, so now the first thing I want to do is I'm going to grab my standard crimping pliers, and I'm going to go into this front notch. This front notch, I don't know if you can see it. The front notch is more like a rounding, and then the back notch is where you crimp first. You crimp first on this back notch that forms like a crescent moon, and then you come in and you finish it off with that other side. Now, what I'd like to do is I like to bring the ends of my wire guardians together. And for me, it's just cosmetic. It's also too, it puts that crimp tube right up next against it, and it just flows really well. Now, as you can see, I have my wires separated. And the reason why I do that is because when you crimp down on that first, in that first notch here in the back, it's going to separate. And so what you do when you crimp down, you can see this side is over here, and this other part of the wire is on this side. So they're separated. Okay, so you see how one is going in one, kind of like a tube, and this one's going in on the other. Then what you want to do is you want to come in with that front notch, that same front notch that I used for bringing the wire guardians together, and crimp that down, and that closes it up. That seals the deal. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to come in with my cutters and cut as closely as I can to that crimp tube. And then also too, you can do a little bit of tug testing, put your fingernail in there. That's why this fingernail, I will split it down the middle, and it's because I've been doing tug testing. So there we go there. Now let's go ahead and bring this up to the top here. And then again, I have a really long length still. So I'm gonna go ahead and just trim it off. And the reason why I like to do it this way rather than cutting it in advance is because I feel like I'm minimizing waste. There's no way to completely eliminate waste, but you can absolutely reduce. All right, so this is what it's gonna look like. And this is in the middle, and I thought of adding, there was a wood pendant, and I thought of adding that in the middle, but I have an idea for the wood pendant with these leaves, and so I'm gonna be trying something else with that. All right, so let's go ahead and do the same thing on this side. We're gonna grab our 2x2 crimp tube. There we go. And our wire guardian, we're gonna pass it through one side. Then we're gonna turn around, pass it through the other, just like so. All right, then we're gonna put through our chain. Okay, make sure that that goes down into the wire guardian. And then let's go ahead and pass through this crimp tube. Now, I do like to put the wire through the first bead. And for me, it's not a security thing. It's just I feel like I have a better grip on the whole process if I do it that way. Okay, so this is all twisted. You can see how it's all twisted. So I'm going to turn it, and I want to make sure that I'm not twisted so that when I go to crimp down. And the reason why I like it to pass it through is because I feel like I have a little bit more grip. I feel like I have a little bit more room. It is possibly not even a thing, but it just, I guess, makes me feel a little better. Now, I don't want it to be so tight that it is stiff. So what I do is I just go ahead and I start kind of loosening things up. See, it's a little stiff down here, but I think it's just the beads. I don't want any wire hanging around, but nope, see, I got it a little bit more loose, and that's the way I want it. If you have it too tight, it's just stiff and it won't sit on your chest the way you want it to, or dangle down your chest. And so now what I want to do is I have that all separated. I want to make sure that I do not crimp on top of that bead because it will break. And so I'm going to go ahead and give it a little crimp there, and I'm going to come around on the other side so that I can close that off. And there we go. They're all separated and all good. I'm going to come in as close as I can. Sometimes you have to go back in and trim off a little bit better. So if I were to do this and just lay it out straight, I'm going to have some wire showing, but it's when you are wearing it that your wire's not going to show the way we did it there. Okay, so this is all the waist I have with not pre-cutting. So not too bad, right? Okay, so now there's no right or left on this. They're pretty much the same. And so what I want to do is go ahead and add my jump rings. And once I do that, and I've put away some of my tools here, not sure why. So I have my jump ring, and again, this is an 18 gauge jump ring, so it's pretty thick. So I'm going to go ahead and open it, and I open it by twisting front to back, not opening up that way. So let's go ahead and get that opened up and get that on there, get that on there. And you can also too make little dangles for the back. That would be really cute too. All right, so go ahead and get that closed up. Nice. Can't remember where I got these jump rings, but they're, like I said, they're 18 gauge and they're really super good, especially for stuff like this. All right, so now, there we go. There we go. Let's go ahead and close it up. I can't wait to get this all pictured together. Okay, see, got it all nice and closed up nicely. Okay, so now we have our necklace to go with our bracelet. So there is our necklace there to go with our bracelet. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in and we're gonna make some earrings. Now, I'm gonna get these little guys put away because I do not want to lose them. And I do want this one labradorite for something. All right, so now what we're gonna do, let's go ahead and push this off to the side, get rid of our scrap. Okay, so here is our last little project. Now, I love to stack up bead caps and spacers, and I went a little on the overboard side, but I dig it. I really dig it. First off, the reason why I did so many was because this is 8mm, and my little crystal rondelle is just that. It's very little, so I was trying to taper up, and then I'm using one of these little inky dinky pearls that's from the box. Now, I'm only using 2, and here's why. I have an idea. I have some black little tiny beads, not as tiny as this, from another box, and I think that's going to be one of my projects. So, all right. So I just have a bald head pin. This one is a fairly thin gauge, and part of the reason why was because I wanted to be able to fit this little tiny bead in there. All right, and then also too, I wanted the ball because it kind of adds a little bit of texture to the bottom. So I'm using one of those 8mm Czechs, which is stunning. Then I'm gonna start, I have 3 different sizes of bead caps that are gonna taper up to this, and then we're gonna put this in the at the top just to fill in. And it just kind of pokes there. It's not big enough for this spacer, but I kind of dig it. I just kind of dig it. All right, so now let's go ahead and thread on. This is probably maybe a 6mm bead cap, and then I'm going into like maybe possibly like a 5, and then here's maybe a 4mm. Could be a little bit bigger. And then let's go ahead and get this little guy on. And I know he fits in here because he fit in the other one, but I can't see. I can't see where it's at. There we go. Okay, so then he just kind of sits in there a little perfectly, doesn't he? And then again, it is a little overboard on this, but I just love all that copper, and that's what I was going for. I just want a bunch of copper. Now, since this is a very thin wire, I would say probably a 24 gauge. I'm gonna go at the very tippy tip because I just want 3 wraps, and with the 24 gauge, it's not gonna take as much space right here to get the 4 wraps. So I'm coming in with my round nose pliers, and I'm gonna come in kind of close to the tippy tip, just a little off. Now everybody's round nose pliers are a little different in size. So I have this one here. I also have this set here that is very long, and so it graduates a little differently. I do have some tool magic on it, but it's still not as it's not as small on the tip as this one is. So I love this one. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and form that around the top barrel. I'm gonna hold on to that and just rotate. And now push it to the back and get it a little bit more centered. Okay, now these ear wires do open up. These are the lever backs, however you want to pronounce it. They do open up, but if I don't have to open them, I'm not going to. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pass this through first and get it attached that way. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with the tippy tip of my chain nose pliers, and now I'm going to bring in my bent chain nose pliers, and this is over just the loop. You've watched me kind of finagle it around. It did probably bring down my wrapping end a little bit, but that's okay. I just don't want to be sitting on top of 2 crossing wires. And since I do know that this is a thinner gauge head pin, you saw I'm going a little even more slow than how I normally do it, because you can snap them. This is probably the head pin that I started figuring out that, oh, you can snap. So then I can either come in with my bent chain nose pliers, or I can hold it with my fingers. I like to come in with my bent chain nose pliers because I feel like I have a good grip, and I also feel like I'm at a good angle. And there we have, there's our pair of earrings and a little bit of scrap. Can't use that for a head pin, but here we have our earrings, we have our bracelet, and now we have our necklace. I will get this photographed all together and get this posted so that everybody can see it. And be sure to check out all the links I have in the description. I have past box openings, I have unboxings, I have links to Potomac Beads Instagram, their YouTube channel, which is fabulous, and some of my other, I'll also put a link to this project as well. Be sure to give this video a huge thumbs up if you like it. Also to comment. I love to see what everybody has to say. And do subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. And until next time, have a good one.